All right, today we are going to pull back the curtain on the invisible rules that, well, run pretty much everything, from the ground under your feet to the very air you're breathing. Let's get into it.
Have you ever actually stopped to think about stuff like this? Why does a backpack with those nice wide straps feel so much better than one with skinny little strings? Or, the classic, why does an apple always fall down? These aren't just random little quirks of life. They're all clues to some of the most fundamental rules of the universe.
And believe it or not, the answer to all of those questions boils down to just two incredibly powerful and totally connected ideas: force and pressure. And once you get these, I promise you're going to see the world in a completely new way.
So, let's start with the big one first, force. Now, I know it sounds like a heavy-duty physics term, but at its heart, the idea is just wonderfully simple.
That is literally it. A push or a pull. Any push or any pull. This one simple action is the engine that drives every single bit of motion in the entire universe. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
And you are using forces all day, every single day, without even thinking about it. Kicking a ball? That's a push force. Lifting your heavy backpack? That's a pull force. Opening a drawer? Pull. Hitting a nail with a hammer? That's a big old push. See? It's absolutely everywhere.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. Not all forces are the same. They basically fall into two big categories, and the difference between them all comes down to one really simple question. Do you actually have to touch the thing?
So this splits them into two teams. On one side, you have contact forces, which, you guessed it, need to physically touch something to work. And on the other side, you have the more mysterious ones, the non-contact forces. These guys can work from a distance. They're kind of like the wizards of the physics world.
For contact forces, the most obvious one is muscular force. That's just you using your body's strength to get stuff done. But the other huge one you deal with constantly is friction. It's that force that always seems to be trying to slow things down whenever two surfaces are rubbing against each other.
I absolutely love this analogy. Friction really is like that look your mom gives you that just stops you in your tracks. It's this unspoken force that's always there resisting motion, saying, "Whoa, not so fast." A really smooth surface has less of it, a rough one has way more.
And then we have the wizards, the non-contact forces. If you drop a pen, it falls. But why? Nothing is touching it. That's gravity, pulling it down from a distance. It's the same magic behind magnets that snap together or push apart, or how a balloon rubbed on your hair suddenly sticks to a wall. That's electrostatic force. They're all working without any physical contact. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we get what forces are, and we know they're different types. But what do they actually do? Like, what happens when you apply a force to something?
Well, a force can do one of four main things. First, it can change an object's state of motion. So it can make something that's sitting still start moving, or it can stop something that's already moving. Second, it can change its speed it up or slow it down. Third, it can change its direction. And fourth, it can actually change an object's shape, right? Think about squeezing a rubber ball.
But what happens when you have more than one force acting on something? Well, then we have to figure out the net force. So imagine this. You and a friend are pushing a box. If you both push in the same direction, your forces combine. Let's say you each push with 5 newtons of force. That's the unit of measurement. Together, that's a 10 newton net force. But if you push from opposite sides with that exact same 5 newtons of force, they completely cancel each other out, and the box goes nowhere. The net force is 0. So now we're ready for the next piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about force's very important and way more focused cousin, pressure. This is where those everyday examples really start to click into place.
See, the really crucial idea here is that pressure isn't just about how much force you use, it's about how spread out that force is. It's all about concentration. The formula says it all. Pressure is the force divided by the area it's applied to.
This is the perfect way to understand pressure. Think about it. When you use a sharp knife versus a dull one, you're probably pushing down with the same amount of force from your arm. So why is the result so completely different?
It's all about the area of the blade's edge. A sharp knife has a teeny tiny surface area, so it takes all that force from your arm and concentrates it into one microscopic point. That creates a massive amount of pressure, and it slices right through the apple. The dull knife, it spreads that exact same force over a much wider area. The result is low pressure, and you just get a squished apple. Remember that. Smaller area means way higher pressure.
And boom, that totally explains our backpack question from the beginning. Wide straps spread the weight of the bag, the force, over a larger area on your shoulders. That means less pressure, which means it's way more comfortable. It's the exact same reason you sink into the sand when you wear high heels. All your body weight is focused on that tiny little point, but with flat shoes, you spread that weight out, lower the pressure, and you stay right on top of the sand.
Now, pressure isn't just for solid things like knives and shoes. It behaves in some really fascinating ways in the fluids that are all around us. You know, like the air we're breathing and the water in the ocean?
So in any liquid, say the water in a swimming pool, the pressure gets bigger the deeper you go. Why is that? Well, it's because the water at the bottom has to hold up the weight of all the water on top of it. The analogy of people stacked up is just perfect. Imagine you're the person at the very bottom of that stack. You're feeling the most weight, right? That means you're under the most pressure.
And here's something that might blow your mind a little. We are all living at the bottom of a giant ocean of air. And the weight of all that air piled up miles and miles above us creates something called atmospheric pressure. And it is pushing down on you right now from every single direction.
So, the big question is, why don't we get crushed like a soda can? It's because our bodies are amazing. The fluids inside of us, like our blood, are pushing outward with an equal amount of pressure. This creates a perfect balance, an invisible equilibrium. And this same idea of balancing pressure is what holds water in a glass when you turn it upside down. And it's even part of what helps a giant airplane get off the ground and fly.
So there you have it. From simply pushing a door open to the massive systems that create our weather, force, and pressure are the invisible architects of our world. So my question to you is, after hearing all this, what unseen forces are you going to start noticing around you today?